So here we are on page 898, and this is something I'm going to expect you guys to start to learn, okay? So this first time we read it at line 68 on 898, it says, when the young dawn with fingertips of rose came in the east. So whenever we hear that phrase, it means, oh, the young dawn, the sun is coming up, okay? So the sun is coming up, and it's coming up in the east. I called my men together and made a speech to them. Old shipmates, friends, the rest of you stand by. I'll make the crossing in my own ship with my own company and find out what the mainland natives are, for they may be wild savages and lawless, or hospitable and God-fearing men. He has no idea what he's going to face. So let me go. Let me take a small crew, okay? At this, I went aboard and gave the word to cast off by the stern. My oarsmen followed, filing into their benches by the rowlocks, and all in line dipped oars in the gray sea. As we rowed on and nearer to the mainland, at one end of the bay, we saw a cavern yawning above the water, screened with laurel, and many rams and goats about the place. Inside a sheepfold, made from slabs of stone, earth-fast between tall trunks of pine and rugged towering oak trees. So here I've got the water, and I see, think of it kind of like a cliff's edge, or not a mountainside, but a cliff edge. Maybe it's a lattice stone, and I'm gonna see some great opening there, okay? I see laurel. I've got not grass, but vines growing down, okay? I see a sheepfold, okay? It said he saw a slab of stone. If you've ever been up to, Grindstone. Grindstone has these great big stones, great big circular stones. Well, this is a place, though, where the Cyclops live. So this stone has to be absolutely massive, okay? So imagine a huge opening, then with a huge flat stone that you can roll over the front of your cave, okay? At line 87, it says, a prodigious man, prodigious meaning huge and enormous, slept in this cave alone and took his flocks to graze a field, remote from all companions, knowing none but savage ways. A brute so huge, he seemed no man at all of those who eat good wheaten bread, but he seemed rather a shaggy mountain reared in solitude. We beached there, and I told the crew to stand by and keep watch over the ship. As for myself, I took my 12 best fighters and went ahead. I had a goat skin full of that sweet liquor that Euanthus' son Maron had given me. He kept Apollo's holy grove at Ismarus. For kindness we showed him there, and showed his wife and child. He gave me 7 shining golden talents, perfectly formed, a solid silver wine bowl, and then this liquor, 12 two-handled jars of brandy, pure and fiery. Not a slave in Maron's household knew this drink. Only he, his wife, and the storeroom mistress knew. And they would put 1 cupful, ruby-colored, honey smooth, in 20 more of water. But still the sweet scent hovered like a fume over the wine bowl. No man turned away when cups of this came round. So it's important for us to notice a few things. He talks about, hey, we've got some huge guy, doesn't live by anybody, and he's savage. See, he's savage, he follows no rules, okay? The rules back then would have been, hey, somebody shows up at your door, you give them a place to stay, you give them food to eat, and they get to stay there as long as you want, okay? But he doesn't think he follows any of these rules. It said in line 92, he seemed rather a shaggy mountain reared in solitude. So if he's a shaggy mountain, he's just going to be pretty rough looking, okay? He's not like a clean kept guy. It said also, line 95, a smart thing, I would say. Smart. Well, maybe it's stupid. I don't know. The jury is out. Pun intended. You're going to have to figure out, is this a smart thing or a stupid thing to do, that Odysseus only took his 12 best fighters? The fact that they're the best, I think that's kind of a good idea. It also said he took with him some type of brandy, some special brandy, okay? So that special brandy had some type of, I don't want to say specialness about it, but it's something different than standard brandy. It has a special quality about it, okay? So he said, no man turned away when cups of this came around. You bring a gift when you're a guest somewhere. So that's also kind of a smart thing to do. Again, make sure you guys are writing on your summary sheets something about what's going on so far with this Cyclops and with this adventure that's just starting to unfold. I don't think there's a ton to write down yet, but there is some that you guys could be writing. Because again, by the time we get to the end of this, you will never remember what happened in book 9. At the bottom of 899, it looks like line 110. A wineskin full I brought along, and victuals in a bag, for in my bones I knew some towering brute would be upon us all outward power, a wild man, ignorant of civility. If he's ignorant of civility, he knows this guy, this being, this brute, is not going to follow any rules. He knows that, and he's still going in. Smart or stupid? We climbed then briskly to the cave, but Cyclops had gone afield to pasture his his fat sheep. So we looked round at everything inside. A drying rack that sagged with cheeses, pens crowded with lambs and kids, each in its class, firstlings apart from middlings, and the dewdrops or newborn lambkins penned apart from both. And vessels full of whey were brimming there, bowls of earthenware and pails for milking. My men came pressing round me, pleading, why not take these cheeses, get them stowed and come back, throw open all the pens and make a run for it. We'll drive the kids and lambs aboard. We say put out again on good salt water. Now his men right now are truly the voice of reason. Hey, we travel by water. We need to get some supplies. So here we see all these animals. We see whey. We see pails of milk. Oh my God, wouldn't this be great if we just took all this stuff? Which is not a very good thing to do. But hey, if we do this, we resupply, we get back on the ship, everything is great. Odysseus, what does he say? Ah, how sound that was. Yet I refused. Was that smart or was that stupid? Can't figure it out. Let's wait to see what happens. I wished to see the caveman, what he had to offer. No pretty sight, it turned out, for my friends. We lit a fire, burnt an offering, and took some cheese to eat, then sat in silence around the embers, waiting. When he came, he had a load of dry boughs on his shoulder to stoke his fire at supper time. He dumped it with a great crash into that hollow cave, and we all scattered fast to the far wall. Then over the broad cavern floor, he ushered the ewes he meant to milk. He left his rams and he-goats in the yard outside and swung high overhead a slab of solid rock to close the cave. 24 four-wheeled wagons with heaving wagon trains could not have stirred the tonnage of that rock from where he wedged it over the doorsill. Next, he took his seat and milked his bleeding ewes. A practice job he made of it, giving each ewe her suckling. Thickened his milk then into curds and whey, sieved out the curds to drip in withy baskets, and poured the whey to stand in bowls, cooling until he drank it for his supper. Now let's unpack what he has seen. His guys have all said, hey, let's take off. He refused. And he told us what's going to happen. Oh, I wished to see the caveman, what he had to offer. No pretty sight it turned out for my friends. So we know it's going to go bad. So was that a smart or stupid thing to ignore his men's request to leave the island with the food and animals? I would charge that that was a very stupid thing to do. So write something down about not listening to his men when they suggested that they leave with the food and animals from the Cyclops when they had the chance. The other thing for us to consider, to take a look at on this sheet, it said something about the Cyclops comes in and he's carrying dry boughs. Well, for a Cyclops, if he's carrying boughs for us would be branches, but for a Cyclops, as massive as he is, a bough could be a whole tree, okay? So he's carrying in, these huge pieces of trees. He comes in and he wants to keep all his female ewes inside. And so he rolls this big stone across the opening. This stone is so heavy, they commented that 24 four-wheeled wagons with heaving wagon teams could not have stirred that rock. His dozen guys that he took with him are useless. There is no way that 12 grown men can do or can move what 24 four-wheeled wagons could have moved. They can't do it. They're not strong enough because we are human beings. We have a limit. So here you are inside a cave with the Cyclops, and there's no way out. You cannot get out. There is absolutely no way out. Was that smart or stupid to go inside? I'll leave you to that. Okay, so sits down. He's got to take care of his animals. Okay, so at the top of 902, line 154. When all these chores were done, he poked the fire, heaping on brushwood, and in the glare he saw us. "Strangers," he said, "who are you, and where from? What brings you here by seaways? A fair traffic? Or are you wandering rogues who cast your lives like dice and ravage other folk by sea?" We felt a pressure on our hearts in dread of that deep rumble and that mighty man, but all the same I spoke up in reply. So the Cyclops so far, we have no idea who he is. We will find out his name, and you guys got to leave space for that in your book 9. Hey, who are you guys? Are you here to steal? Are you just kind of taking your chances? Yes, they are, to both. And Odysseus is going to reply. "We are from Troy, Achaeans, blown off course by shifting gales on the great South Sea, homeward bound, but taking routes and ways uncommon, so the will of Zeus would have it. We served under Agamemnon, son of Atreus. The whole world knows what city he laid waste, what armies he destroyed. It was our luck to come here, and here we stand beholden for your help, or any gifts you give, as custom is to honor strangers. We would entreat you, great sir, have a care for the gods' courtesy. Zeus will avenge the unoffending guest." So Odysseus, I don't know. Odysseus really likes to lay it on thick. Hey, you should know who we are. We went over to Troy, and I was with Agamemnon. Everybody should have known who Agamemnon was at the time. We laid waste. We destroyed Troy. Like everybody should know. Okay? It's not like they have YouTube or TikTok or Snapchat. They have nothing. They have no way of knowing if this has gone around the world. But hey, we're really important people, and let me remind you, line 172. Hey, custom is you should honor strangers. You should throw a party because we're here. Hey, I would entreat you. I'd like to beg you, sir, to remember the God's courtesy. The God's courtesy is you give us some place to rest, and you give us some food, and you give us some drink, and you're going to smile when you do it. And then he says, Zeus will avenge the unoffending guest. So, hey, Zeus is going to get back at you if you don't do this for us. Now, it's also important that I back up and look at lines 165 and 166. He said something about, hey, we were blown off course, but we were taking routes and ways uncommon, so the will of Zeus would have it. So, we're struggling to get back home because of Zeus. But don't forget, if you guys aren't really nice to us, Zeus is going to get back at you. So, take a look at our Cyclops. And I'm going to guess right around this time, we're probably done taking some notes, or we're getting really close to it. So make sure you guys make a note. Where do you leave off? So he answered this from his brute chest, unmoved. You are a ninny, or else you come from the other end of nowhere telling me mind the gods. We Cyclops care not a whistle for your thundering Zeus or all the gods in bliss. We have more force by far. I would not let you go for fear of Zeus, you or your friends, unless I had a whim to. Tell me, where was it now you left your ship? Around the point or down the shore, I wonder. Well, he thought he'd find out, but I saw through this and answered with a ready lie. My ship? Poseidon, Lord, who sets the earth a tremble, broke it upon the rocks at your land's end. A wind from seaward served him and drove us there. We are survivors, these good men and I. Well, so far, the Cyclops has basically said, dude, I don't follow any of these rules that I have to give you guys food and water, and I don't answer to Zeus. And that's really a dangerous thing for Odysseus and his crew. I don't have to be nice to you. I can be mean to you. I can be a jerk to you. I'm not going to feed you. I'm not going to clothe you. I'm not going to give you somewhere nice to rest. So these are all dangerous, all bad things for Odysseus and his crew. But the Cyclops leaves it by saying, hey, where'd you leave your ship? Why do you suppose he wants to know where his ship is? Are there other people on the ship? Oh my gosh. If I know where your ship is, I know where all your people are. And Odysseus, to me, does a very smart thing. He says, hey, Poseidon. Poseidon, you know that guy? Anybody know who that guy is in this room today? Please, somebody tell me, who is this guy? Poseidon, Lord, he sets the earth a tremble. He broke it up on the rocks at your land's end. I don't have a ship. Nope. It's just us. So it's just us 12 people. To me, that is a smart thing to do. Saves his ship and saves all the rest of his crew. If they perish, at least it's only 13 people, his 12 best and himself. Okay? To me, very, very, very smart. Okay? So, page 903, line 191. Neither reply nor pity came from him, but in one stride he clutched at my companions and caught two in his hands like squirming puppies to beat their brains out, spattering the floor. Then he dismembered them and made his meal gaping and crunching like a mountain lion. Everything, innards, flesh, and marrow bones. We cried aloud, lifting our hands to Zeus, powerless, looking on at this, appalled. But Cyclops went on filling up his belly with man-flesh in great gulps of whey, and then lay down like a mast among his sheep. My heart beat high now at the chance of action, and drawing the sharp sword from my hip, I went along his flank to stab him where the midriff holds the liver. I had touched the spot when sudden fear stayed me. If I killed him, we perished there as well, for we could never move his ponderous door slab aside. So we were left there to groan and wait for morning. So, hopefully you guys have caught this. What has the Cyclops done so far? Anybody have an answer? Well, hopefully you guys are saying, he picked up some of Odysseus's men and chews them up. like I'm picking up Barbie dolls and I'm just, and I'm eating them up, okay? How many men then has he lost so far? Oh, yeah, he caught 2 of them. So we're down to 10 of his best fighters plus Odysseus, okay? Important for us to remember. They do not kill the Cyclops when they're given the first opportunity to kill him. Was that smart or stupid? Anybody have an idea? Do you think that's smart or stupid? Anybody feel brave enough to identify why you think that's smart or stupid? Please pause if you need to. Hopefully, you guys have said that that was a really smart thing to do. It is smart simply because if they would have killed him that instant, they can't get outside the door. They don't have jackhammers. They don't have anything. They've got a few trees, but they still don't have enough to move that stone, okay? So line 211, again, please remind me, I told you guys you would have to know this. When the young dawn with fingertips of rose lit up the world, hopefully you guys have said that the sun is coming up. The Cyclops built a fire and milked his handsome ewes all in due order, putting the sucklings to the mothers. And then, his chores being all dispatched, he caught another brace of men to make his breakfast and whisked away his great slab door to let his sheep go through. But he, behind, reset the stone as one would cap a quiver. There was a din of whistling as the Cyclops rounded his flock to higher ground, and then stillness. And now I pondered how to hurt him worst, if but Athena granted what I prayed for. Here are the means I thought would serve my turn. So Odysseus does something kind of important for us to note. He's saying something about, oh, if Athena granted what I prayed for. He's asking, oh my God, oh dude, I really need this to work. The problem is, Odysseus did something really bad, if you remember, in book 1. In book 1, he had eaten Lord Helios's cattle. Nope, you're not going to be able to get back home with all your crew, okay? We have had that happen. Now we have this happening with the Cyclops. And so things really start to go badly for Odysseus, and Athena is not necessarily going to answer him, okay? I want you guys to know, how many people is Odysseus down to now? Now, it said, line 215, 216, he caught another brace of men to make his breakfast. Could I assume that that's 2 or 3 men? If it's 2 or 3 men, then wouldn't I be down to 5 or 6 guys now? If I'm down, wait, no, I'm not 5 or 6. I've only had 10. I had 10, so I'm down to 7 or 8 guys plus Odysseus, okay? So he tells us at the end of 903, here are the means I thought would serve my turn. So here, this is my game plan. A club or staff lay there along the fold, an olive tree felled green and left to season for Cyclops' hand. And it was like a mast, a lugger of 20 oars, abroad in the beam, a deep sea-going craft might carry. So long, so big around it seemed. Now I chopped out a 6-foot section of this pole and set it down before my men who scraped it. And when they had it smooth, I hewed again to make a stake with pointed end. I held this in the fire's heart and turned it, toughening it, then hid it well back in the cavern under one of the dung piles in profusion there. Now came the time to toss for it. Who ventured along with me, whose hand could bear to thrust and grind that spike in Cyclops' eyes when mild sleep had mastered him? As luck would have it, the men I would have chosen won the toss. 4 strong men, and I made 5 as captain. So here's my plan. I'm going to take my tree bough, right here. I take my tree bough and I'm going to sharpen my end so it's extremely, extremely sharp. I'm going to take my extremely sharp tree bough and I'm going to jam it into my fire, and I'm going to get all them hot coals. I'm going to get this rock I mean, not rock hard, but I'm going to get it burning hot red. What happens when this is so red? Not on fire, but so red. What happens to this? Hopefully you guys think, oh my God, it's going to get rock hard. It is going to get rock hard, and it's going to be blackened. It's going to be nasty at the end. Think of like this whole tip being all black, and it's huge. And their plan is, hey, we're going to figure out a way to get up high enough when this Cyclops is laying back, and they're going to take this and they're going to ram this into his one eye. And when they ram it in, they're going to take it and they're going to twist it and twist it and twist it and twist it and twist it. They're going to bury it so deep in his eye. And he's only got one eye. If he's only got one eye, what's going to happen to the guy? Dude, you better be saying he's going to go blind. Absolutely, he's going to go blind. That could work for them, maybe against, but to me, this sounds kind of like a good plan. He also says where they're going to hide it. Can anybody tell me where they're going to hide it? Again, gross and disgusting. Anybody have it? Hopefully somebody has answered. He said something about, if I can find it real quick, line 237, they hid it under one of the dung piles in Profession there. Hey, keeps all them animals in there. There's piles of poop, and that's where we stick it. So we've had this in a fire burning. We've got all the ash on it. And hey, we've also got poop on it. So even if he did survive this, infection, this guy's going to have it bad. Okay? So they've got their plan. At evening came the shepherd with his flock, his woolly flock. So the Cyclops is returning. The rams as well this time entered the cave by some sheep-herding whim or a god's bidding. None were left outside. He hefted his great boulder into place and sat him down to milk the bleeding ewes in proper order, put the lambs to suck, and swiftly ran through all his evening chores. And you guessed it, he caught 2 more men and feasted on them. So before we were down to 7 or 8 guys, so now we're down to 5 or 6. Okay? My moment was at hand, and I went forward, holding an ivy bowl of my dark drink. Remember, the dark drink was that special brandy. It's been kind of like touched by the gods, if you'll think of it that way. I looked up, saying, Cyclops, try some wine. Here's liquor to wash down your scraps of men. Well, why would he offer that? Why? Because you know what? You have to be smarter than the Cyclops. Can you go in there so super angry and insulting him? No, he's not impressed with you anyways. You need to get that Cyclops to do something really important. So you got to kind of butter him up a little bit. Here's liquor to wash down your scraps of men. Taste it and see the kind of drink we carried under our planks. I meant it for an offering if you would help us home. But you're mad, unbearable, a bloody monster. So he's kind of faking it right now. After this, will any other traveler come to see you? He seized and drained the bowl, and it went down so fiery and smooth, he called for more. So, hey, he likes the brandy and he calls for more. What on earth happens when you continue to drink more and more and more brandy? Hopefully, you are all saying he's going to get drunk. And that's absolutely correct. Give me another. Thank you kindly. Tell me, how are you called? I'll make a gift will please you. Even Cyclops knows the wine grapes grow out of grassland and loam in heaven's rain. And here's a bit of nectar and ambrosia. Hey, dude, what's your name? Tell me who you are. I know this is special stuff you're giving me. 3 bowls I brought him, and he poured them down. I saw the fuddle and flush come over him. And then I sang out in cordial tones, dude, I can see he's getting drunk. This is working. This is good. And he, Odysseus, says, nobody's my meat. Oh, I'm sorry, I lost it. I gotta back that up. Line 271. Cyclops, you ask my honorable name. Remember the gift you promised me, and I shall tell you. My name is Nobody. You guys want to write that down? Spell it the way he spelled it. Nohbdy. Mother, father, and friends, everyone calls me Nobody. Now remember, Odysseus has wanted to tell people and brag to people who he is, but this time he's not. It's a strategic play right here, okay? And he, the Cyclops, responds, nobody's my meat then. After I eat his friends, others come first. There's a noble gift now. Don't you think, oh, geez, let me eat all your friends. Let me eat all the rest of the guys that are left, and I'll leave you to the end. Isn't that great? Even as he spoke, he reeled and tumbled backward, his great head lolling to one side, and sleep took him like any creature, drunk, hiccuping. He dribbled streams of liquor and bits of men. Now, by the gods, I drove my big hand spike deep in the embers, charring it again, and cheered my men along with battle talk to keep their courage up. No quitting now. The pike of olive, green though it had been, reddened and glowed as if about to catch. I drew it from the coals, and my 4 fellows gave me a hand, lugging it near the Cyclops as more than natural force nerved them. Straight forward they sprinted, lifted it and rammed it deep in his crater eye, and I leaned on it, turning it as a shipwright turns a drill in planking, having men below to swing the 2-handled strap that spins it in the groove. So with our brand we bored that great eye socket while blood ran out around the red-hot bar. Eyelid and lash were seared, the pierced bowl hissed, broiling, and the roots popped. So let's unpack a little bit of that. They have some success. The Cyclops falls back. He's drunk. He falls completely asleep. We take our tree bough. We relight it, get it really smoking hot red. Gonna be bad. And they shove that into his eye. They twist and turn. His eyes are closed. So he goes right through the lid, right through the eyeball, or deep into the eyeball, turning and turning and turning. Has the plan worked so far? Absolutely. I would say this has been a very smart thing for Odysseus to do, to get him drunk. Gets him off guard, gives them the opportunity to get his tree bough again hardened, and that's what makes that eyeball sizzle or hiss and pop. So let's take, and if you have to pause, again, pause whenever you guys need to, because I have no idea when you guys need to pause. On the top of 907, Homer does something that's really kind of interesting. He does this 2 or 3 times, and he tries to get you to visualize exactly what's happening, okay? Because he had said the pierced ball hissed, broiling, and the roots popped. So, man, bam, this eye is getting euchred. But he tries to say it again in another way to get you to really visualize what's happening. So see if you guys can visualize this. In a smithy, in a blacksmith shop, one sees a white-hot axe head or an adze plunged and wrung in a cold tub, screeching steam the way they make soft iron hale and hard. Just so that eyeball hissed around the spike. And you guys should be able to visualize that if you watched any old shows where they have blacksmiths. They always have to take that smoking hot thing, they dip it in the water. That water will boil up, and it helps this to cool off and get hard. So he's just trying to explain that in another way to make sure you visualize it. So line 304, the Cyclops bellowed and the rock roared around him, and we fell back in fear. Clawing his face, he tugged the bloody spike out of his eye, threw it away, and his wild hands went groping. Then he set up a howl for Cyclops who lived in caves on windy peaks nearby. Some heard him, and they came by divers ways to clump around outside and call, "What ails you, Polyphemus? Why do you cry so sore in the starry night? You will not let us sleep. Sure, no man's driving off your flock. No man has tricked you, ruined you." Out of the cave, the mammoth Polyphemus roared in answer, "Nobody! Nobody's tricked me. Nobody's ruined me." To this, Rough shout, they made a sage reply. Ah, well, if nobody has played you foul there on your lonely bed, we are no use in pain given by great Zeus. Let it be your father, Poseidon, Lord, to whom you pray. So, let's pause and unpack that. Oh my God. We just learned the name of the Cyclops. Anybody identify, even if you're spelling it, because I know it's a hard name to say. So, hopefully, somebody has said Polyphemus, okay? Important that you write his name down. Cyclops equals Polyphemus, because that's his name, okay? Now, we should go back to smart and stupid, because I would say, right about now, you should have noticed that Odysseus did something extremely smart. And that was, hey, he didn't tell him his name was Odysseus, because if he knew he was Odysseus, oh, you know, that guy all skilled in contending, wouldn't that be something to brag about, that I killed the great Odysseus? Oh no, he doesn't tell him that. He told him his name was Nobody. And didn't that work so perfectly? Oh yeah, nobody's here hurting me. That was an extremely smart thing to do. So all those guys, they end up taking off and leaving, but they did tell us something very important there. That, oh, let it be your father, Poseidon, Lord, to whom you pray. Poseidon. Anybody know what he's god of? Anybody? You guys had probably better be saying, like, the water. He's the god of water. That's a bad thing. How's Odysseus traveling? By water. This can go really sideways. So saying, they trailed away, and I was filled with laughter to see how like a charm the name deceived them. Now Cyclops, wheezing as the pain come on him, fumbled to wrench away the great doorstone and squatted in the breach with arms thrown wide for any silly beast or man who bolted, hoping somehow I might be such a fool. But I kept thinking, how to win the game. Death sat there huge. How could we slip away? I drew on all my wits and ran through tactics, reasoning as a man will for dear life. Keep in mind, Odysseus has faced so many before him, okay? So, yep, hey, my plan worked out perfectly, except, dude, we're stuck here again in the cave. How can I win? How can I win this game? Because this game has really super high stakes. Dude, it's life or death at this particular point. Okay? So, what's going to happen? Oh, a trick came, top of 908, and it pleased me well. The Cyclops rams were handsome, fat, with heavy fleeces, a dark violet. Because remember, they're the only ones getting out, the animals, plus the Cyclops. 3 abreast, I tied them silently together, twining cords of willow from the ogre's bed, then slung a man under each middle one to ride there safely, shielded left and right, so 3 sheep could convey each man. I took the woolliest ram, the choicest of the flock, and hung myself under his kinky belly, pulled up tight with fingers twisted deep in sheepskin ringlets for an iron grip, so breathing hard we waited until morning. So make sure you guys can visualize 3 animals. There's 3 of them together. And Odysseus has taken willow branches and he ties these guys, the 3 animals together, and he ties one guy to the underside, the middle of the, well, it's the middle sheep, the middle ram, the ewe. They're tied there. And so they're all safe. They can relax there, kind of. I mean, they're going to be stressed out. But they're going to be there all night long. But Odysseus has the toughest job because Odysseus is only under 1. And he's under 1 because he is the biggest ram. And Odysseus, he is the strongest, the bravest guy ever because, well, he's not tied up underneath that big ram. Oh, but why not? Hopefully somebody has pieced this together. There's nobody left to tie him up. So Odysseus grabs a hold, and he's holding on for dear life with his hands, and he's probably got his feet around something. He's got to be real careful how he holds on to this animal, okay? When dawn spread out her fingertips of rose, you guys should be thinking sunrise, the rams began to stir, moving for pasture, and peals of bleating echoed around the pens where dams with udders full called for a milking. Sheep need to be milked. Blinded and sick with pain from his head wound, the master stroked each ram. Oh, let me pet you as you walk out, then let it pass. But my men, riding on the pectoral fleece, the giant's blind hands blundering, never found. All my guys, all of them made it out. Last of them all, my ram. The leader came, weighted by wool, and me with my meditations, and the Cyclops patted him and said, Sweet cousin Ram, why lag behind the rest in the night cave? You never linger so, but graze before them all and go afar to crop sweet grass, and take your stately way leading along the streams until at evening you run to be the first one in the fold. Why now so far behind? Can you be grieving over your master's eye? That carrion rogue and his accursed companions burnt it out when he had conquered all my wits with wine. Nobody will not get out alive, I swear. Oh, had you brain and voice to tell where he may be now, dodging all my fury, bashed by this hand and bashed on this rock wall, his brains would strew the floor, and I should have rest from the outrage nobody worked upon me. Well, wouldn't it be interesting if his ram actually could say something? Because if he could, he'd just be saying, look, he's right underneath my belly. But the animals can't talk. He sent us into the open then, close by. I dropped and rolled clear of the ram's belly, going this way and that to untie the men. With many glances back, we rounded up his fat, stiff-legged sheep to take aboard, and drove them down to where the good ship lay. We saw, as we came near, our fellows' faces shining, and then we saw them turn to grief, tallying those who had not fled from death. I hushed them, jerking head and eyebrows up, and in a low voice told them, Load this herd. Move fast and put the ship's head toward the breakers. They all pitched in at loading, then embarked and struck their oars into the sea, far out, as far offshore as shouted words would carry. I sent a few back to the adversary. Now, one important thing to note here, and I suppose that this is a smart thing. This is twice now. Odysseus has had the opportunity where he could have yelled at his men, and he didn't. Instead, he offers them encouragement. Hey, you can do this. Let's be quiet. Let's get this done. And to me, to my way of thinking, that's a very smart thing. Because if he would have started yelling, he could have created some panic in his men. It's a very, very smart thing to do. So here we are. We have now, on our summary sheet, we have gotten all of Polyphemus's animals. All of them are onto his ship. And now, here I am, I'm Odysseus, far out, as far off the shore as shouted words would carry. I send a few back to the Cyclops, to Polyphemus. So he's on his ship, screaming back to Polyphemus. Oh, Cyclops, would you feast on my companions? Puny am I in a caveman's hands. How do you like the beating that we gave you, you damned cannibal? Eater of guests under your roof. Zeus and the gods have paid you. The blind thing in his doubled fury broke a hilltop in his hands and heaved it after us. Ahead of our black prow it struck and sank, whelmed in a spuming geyser, a giant wave that washed the ship's stern foremost back to shore. I got the longest boat hook out and stood fending us off with furious nods to all to put their backs into a racing stroke. Row, row, or perish. So the oars oars bent, kicking the foam sternward, making head until we drew away and twice as far. Now when I cupped my hands, I heard the crew in low voices protesting. God's sake, Captain, why bait the beast again? Let him alone. That tidal wave he made on the first throw all but beached us, all but stove us in. Now remember, this is the moment when his crowd, for the second time we've seen, they are being the voice of reason. okay? They're saying, dude, shut up. We are in the boat. You are yelling, and yes, he's blind, but he can still hear you, and you're yelling. He can get an idea where our ship is. Dude, would you shut up? And if you take a look at how he listened the last time, what's your prediction this time? Will he listen to his men? Has he learned? Or does he do what he wants? You determine if he's smart or if he's stupid. Give him our bearing with your trumpeting, and he'll get the range and lob a boulder. Aye, he'll smash our timbers and our heads together. I, Odysseus, would not heed them in my glorying spirit, but let my anger flare, and yelled, Cyclops, if ever mortal man inquire how you were put to shame and blinded, tell him, Odysseus, raider of cities, took your eye, Laertes' son, whose home is on Ithaca. At this, he gave a mighty sob and rumbled, Now comes the weird upon me, spoken of old. A wizard grand and wondrous lived here, Telemus, a son of Eurymus. Great length of days he had in wizardry among the Cyclops, and these things he foretold for time to come. My great eye lost and at Odysseus' hand. Always I had in mind some giant armed and giant force would come against me here, but you, small, pitiful, and twiggy, you put me down with wine. You blinded me. Come back, Odysseus, and I'll treat you well, praying the god of earthquake to befriend you. His son I am, for he by his avowal fathered me, and if he will, he may heal me of this black wound, he and no other of all the happy gods or mortal men. Few words I shouted in reply to him. If I could take your life, I would, and take your time away and hurl you down to hell. The god of earthquake could not heal you there. At this, he stretched his hands out in his darkness toward the sky of stars and prayed to Poseidon. Oh, hear me, Lord, blue girdler of the islands. If I am thine indeed, and thou art father, grant that Odysseus, raider of cities, never see his home, Laertes' son I mean, who kept his hall on Ithaca, should destiny intend that he shall see his roof again among his family and his fatherland. Far be that day, and dark the years between. Let him lose all companions, and return under strange sail to bitter days at home. In these words he prayed, and the god heard him. Now he laid hands upon a bigger stone and wheeled around, titanic for the cast, to let it fly in the black proud vessel's track, but it fell short just after the steering oar, and whelming seas rose giant above the stone to bear us onward toward the island. There, as we ran in, we saw the squadron waiting, the trim ships drawn up side by side, and all our troubled friends who waited, looking seaward. We beached her, grinding keel in the soft sand, and waded in ourselves on the sandy beach. Then we unloaded all the Cyclops' flock to make division, share and share alike. Only my fighters voted that my ram, the prize of all, should go to me. I slew him by the seaside and burnt his long thigh bones to Zeus beyond the storm cloud, Cronus' son, who rules the world. But Zeus disdained my offering. Destruction for my ships he had in store, and death for those who sailed them, my companions. Now all day long, until the sun went down, we made our feast on mutton and sweet wine. Till after sunset in the gathering dark, we went to sleep above the wash of ripples. When the young dawn, with fingertips of rose, touched the world, I roused the men, gave orders to man the ships, casting off the mooring lines and filing in to sit beside the rowlocks. Oarsmen in line dipped oars in the gray sea. So we moved out, sad in the vast offing, having our precious lives, but not our friends. So let's talk a little bit about what has happened. So I had asked you if you thought he was smart or stupid I asked you if you thought he would listen to his men. Well, you start to see a little bit of pattern here, and it is, hey, Odysseus does what Odysseus wants to do, and Odysseus is a curious guy. Do you suppose curiosity is necessarily a good thing? Because we've had something happen twice now, and he's curious. I would hazard a guess and say, no, pretty stupid, okay? I want to make sure that at this point in time, you guys really have those summary sheets handy, and are smart and stupid, because I'm going to be going back and forth to both, okay? So you guys want to make sure you understand. We don't need to write down Telemus and Eurymus. That was from page 911. Don't need those two guys' names. But Odysseus does some real crazy things here, okay? Odysseus tells him, hey, here's my name. This is where my family lives. This is my home. And this is how I'm going back. Dude, I'm in a ship. So it's kind of like leaving a calling card. I have told you every single detail you need to know to track me down, to get any type of revenge on me. Truly a stupid, stupid, stupid thing to do. Okay? There's no guessing who Odysseus is if you want revenge. So, Polyphemus says, oh my God, hey, come back to the island. Come back and I'll treat you well. Now, this is truly debatable if it's a smart or a stupid thing, because Odysseus does not go back to the island. Odysseus is like, dude, I'd kill you. I'd kill you if I come back, because I don't want nothing to do with you. I don't know if that's smart or stupid. Saying something like that, I don't think is the smartest thing to do, but I also don't think it would be a smart thing to trust the Cyclops. So I think you could put it in both sides, but you have to explain a little bit why it's smart, why it's stupid. Again, pause if you need to. But Polyphemus goes on and says again, hey, dude, my dad is Poseidon, and I don't think things are going to go well for you. Polyphemus throws a rock at him, tries to hurt his ship again, and then he says, oh my God, Dad, Poseidon, you remember, he's traveling by boat, and I want you to make sure that this guy that just blinded me, yeah, I want revenge. I want you to make sure that he never makes it, okay? In a nutshell, that's what he has said, okay? Odysseus is on the ship then, goes back, and he finds all these other ships waiting, because there's all the rest of these ships that he's been a part of. And they share all the stuff that they got, all the riches. The riches would be the food, the animals, all that kind of good jazz. But then eventually Odysseus offered up his ram to Zeus. Now at line 471, it said, Zeus disdained my offering, meaning Zeus did not accept it. It's not good enough. You blinded my son and you took all his stuff. So if he doesn't disdain it, or if he does disdain it, that means Odysseus is in massive trouble. You're never going to get home. Well, doesn't this make perfect sense why he can't ever get home? So that takes us now to the end, I believe, of book 9. And so you guys want to make sure you get your worksheets today and you attempt to get these done. At least get them done on paper today. If I'm not here, I will make sure that they get opened at the next class period. You take a couple of minutes and you guys will submit your answers. If there's any written portions, again, make sure that you guys have taken a look at those written portions. Hopefully, if you guys have listened to all the chapters or all that book, there's only one worksheet that goes to books 1 and books 9. So at this point in time, whoever my sub is, you guys would have to pass out that worksheet to everybody. Also, we would probably want to take a look real quick at page 914 while the sub is passing out this. So for the rest of you guys, please remember on page 914 where it says literary analysis, that's on the right-hand side of the page. And if it's not there, you guys can just listen to this. It says the larger-than-life central figure or superhero of an epic is known as the epic hero, okay? Usually a male figure. He is a person of imposing stature who stands for the ideals of a nation or race. He performs great deeds of great valor that require superhuman courage. Sometimes he is assisted by supernatural forces. Well, I don't think he's been assisted by any supernatural forces, but don't you think that would take a great deal of courage to stand up against a Cyclops? I would think that would take tons of courage to go up against some Cyclops. He is a larger-than-life character. He is our superhero, and if I look back, if I come all the way back, you guys don't have to look, but I'm going to come back to this real quick. They had said at the beginning of this that the hero of an epic is a larger-than-life figure who embodies the ideals of a nation or a race. So, does he have superhuman strength? Does he have a great deal of courage? So far, I would say yes. I'd also ask, does this so far meet the definition of an epic? It says, an epic hero takes part in long, dangerous adventures. Well, this isn't long yet, but is it dangerous? You had most certainly better say yes. Does he accomplish great deeds? Well, so far, he's fed a whole fleet of ships. I would say so far, so good. Okay? Again, please make sure you guys work on that. And if I can for tomorrow, if I can't do it today, I will have your assignment open online. Thanks, and have a great day.